Mitch Miller, November 10th. um, this is somewhat of an address to EU politicians. Um, I'm trying to keep this message simple, and I just want to explain one aspect of a situation. Um, so, first I want to say that I have been to Europe multiple times trying to contact EU politicians, but not specifically representatives in the EU, representatives within the actual sovereign states that make up the EU, to talk about various things. Uh, what I want to say is that I spoke to a few of them on the phone. One person actually mentioned that EU or European politicians aren't allowed to assist certain situations because it might be skewed as furthering their political career. At which point I explained over the phone that I actively tried to contact every political party in every nation, so that it couldn't be construed as trying to play favorites as to one political party. So, that being said, I will say this. It was my honest belief that male politicians have had the luxury of hundreds of years of being in a career of politician, uh, and making mistakes, learning from their fathers, and not necessarily being in the public limelight to the degree of 2016. There's quite a few reasons for this. One is that we have a 24-hour news cycle now, and up until 30 years ago, the act of publishing and putting out media cost a lot more money to print newspaper articles and distribute them to the masses. Now it can be done with a few clicks. So, yeah, I think that men enjoy the luxury of making mistakes and learning from mistakes as far as leading and being a politician, of staying relatively safe as far as public scrutiny for the most part, unless something really stupid happened. But as female leadership has come into power, or not really power, but come into normalcy over the past 30 to 50 years, so has the internet, and the ability to put a lot more unintended pressure on politicians, and perceived perceptions and perceived pressures that maybe don't even necessarily really exist. Not to mention the fact that digital information now is logged forever, so the ability to revisit things, but that ultimately relies on a strong media network that isn't controlled by just a few very powerful people, which the internet hypothetically was supposed to enable, but I think in reality that's not the actual practice. Is that what I advocate for? Yes, but again, I'm trying to keep this simple, and I'm getting into more complex concepts. So that's just an argument that I'm putting out there. But basically, what I want to say is, I'm an independent businessman. I mentioned in the United States via videos that I put on the internet, reimagining a new American dream. With that American dream, I imagined more of a push towards sustainable energy and sustainable food practices, farming practices, which once again that empowers independent farmers and independent business in the United States. But those can be some kind of weird hot button issue to some people in the United States. So ultimately, what I would say is an American dream, and I think it's a logical and very good American dream, is I look at my business as a house painting contractor, did construction and house painting. I've had several setbacks over the past years but I've worked since I was 15 and paid taxes to the United States government. I am a tax-paying citizen of the United States, independent businessman. Had a couple setbacks that wouldn't allow me to build my business to the size that I wanted. But could I hypothetically have worked as a one-man operation or hired an extra hand and worked until I was 80 years old? Uh, yes, and over that period of time I could have saved money to buy one or two rental properties so that at the age of 60 or 65 I could have simply maintained these rental properties and worked 10 or 20 hours with my established business, painting houses, to supplement my income. Maybe not even needed necessarily a Social Security payment, and had no investments in the United States stock market whatsoever. I could have lived till I was 80 with the healthcare system in place that is in there now. I could have had healthcare, and all of my income would have been based off of my labor from my established business or rental properties, which we're always going to have people, and people always need a place to live. So ownership of a few properties is a sound investment. So do I feel bad saying some things about the United States stock market? No, because I didn't invest in it, and it's not my fault that a lot of people are invested in it, and I don't think it's going anywhere. I don't think it's a big issue if one guy points some things out to try to get maybe some legislation or some correction situations there. But there's my American dream. So to all the people so highly invested in the stock market, that's a very simple American dream that did not require everyone's pensions, or everybody's. We don't even have pensions anymore. Everyone's retirement being based off of a stock market. So that's just what I want to put out there. As far as any Europeans, again, this is a European address, but I probably will reiterate that once again. So that's my background. I'm a very logical, sane person. I know I'm telling fairy tales and stories to strum up media attention in the United States, and that's just something that I feel is the most beneficial to me because I'm unsure of where my information is going, if it's even reaching anybody, and I can demonstrate that multiple times. That is what I have tried to, what I was willing to try to speak about in July with politicians and put into sealed testimony, which I am continuing to try to do. Even in a minor court, a municipal court, I've reached out to the Copenhagen Municipal Court and the Nottingham Municipal Court. I don't see why even some 20-something freshly graduated attorneys wouldn't be interested in forming a small team to put some sealed testimony on magnetic tape as to what I witnessed in the United States, because I have no desire to go back there for various reasons, which I have communicated to various parties, I hope, through email. And through this, if you pay attention. But I will give you an example. I'll give you a taste of what I want to put into sealed testimony, but I can go into very much more detail. And again, to these United States companies, I do not intend to necessarily name the companies themselves as they're actually registered, but or it won't be put on one specific company because I was very diligent, and as soon as I realized this situation was happening to me, I had developed something that would not allow it to be placed on one company. So I don't understand if they're responsible for this situation in Alberg. It's very frustrating to me because, again, I am a professional and I've tried to purvey that to multiple United States corporations. But here's a taste. I'll give you two examples. And I'll start with the politicians in case I'm up to 9 minutes in case they don't want to watch this whole video. This is why politicians in the EU should be interested. I'm an independent businessman. I'm very eco-conscious. Most independent business people in the United States are kind of classified as Republicans. That's not my case, but I actually was registered green, and then I've just changed my registration to independent several months ago, right before this started happening. I'm very eco-aware, and that's another reason why I came to Europe, because they are ahead of the game as far as sustainable energy technology. And they have good reason for that, because there are some European nations that might lose actual landmass because of certain scientific research that's there. So, to me, the taxpayers of Europe have consciously made an effort to develop sustainable energy. So, that being said, if I'm a United States businessman and I say, you know what, I'm not seeing the sustainable energy movement in the United States, and it's not gaining any traction. So I want to research and look up the green parties of Europe, and I want to donate to them or start talking to them and start a conversation with them to see who I should support or send some money to, because I'm making money here, but I'm not satisfied with what's going on here, and I want to, legally send some money to the Green Party there. So, Mitch Miller here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I won't go into the details, but I did search. I just explained that I researched every political party in every country, and I tried to send messages to certain Green Party people, because not every country has Green Party, but in a few that did, these Green Party pages, the internet pages came up, and they were totally fake. They were in the native language, but I could not click on any of the links, and they just had pictures of like a woman, like one of the female politicians on it. Completely false web page came up when I'm researching the Green Party. So that's an actual political party in your nation that is being misrepresented to the populace in the United States. And so for that very reason alone, you should be interested in me putting sealed testimony into a court system, and just sitting on that for until we develop some type of way to do this, or if it happens to other people who do have legitimate stories. Mine is very complex, but I'm sure there are legitimate business people who have filed taxes for years and years and years and may have found themselves in the same situation. My second example are for the art lovers and the art community in Europe. I believe that there are a lot of people that invest in the art community in Europe, and the government also subsidizes the art community in Europe, and that has always been indoctrinated into their culture as art collectors and art lovers. So the example I'll give is directly to the Danish people. When I was here in July, I wrote a short story, and I actually did purchase a piece in Copenhagen by an artist. His name is Sikker Hansen, and I referenced him in a story. So to all these people who have Sikker Hansen pieces in their home that they stored away, you sit on that art and you think, yeah, maybe someday he'll be famous again, or his art will improve in value again, and because art fluctuates and goes up and down. So my example of this is something I experienced back when I got back from Copenhagen in July, and I have documentation on this as well. But if you search Wikipedia, there's a Wikipedia Denmark, and there's an English version of Wikipedia. If you search the Danish version of Wikipedia, you get Sikker Hansen pops up with a small little blurb. You search the English version, nothing. You get Hansen, the Hansen trio, or whatever. Why established websites such as Wikipedia can't take proper nouns, which are names, which have nothing to do with language whatsoever, and apply it to their entire so-called encyclopedia, world encyclopedia, and transfer the name of a well-known Danish artist that's been dead for 50 years or whatever to at least English, if not every language that they're available in. It's beyond me, but it's a secondary taste of what I want to verbally explain, and I think I can explain that very well. So again, I'm waiting for Europe to do this. I believe that the United States wants this testimony in courts, and judges and attorneys to be aware of this situation. So that's my belief, and I hope that you will find a way to contact me. I've given many people my emails, and if you can help by contacting these municipal courts and explaining to them that you just simply need a room without any microphones, any type of computer technology in a courthouse for a few hours to take some testimony. I would greatly appreciate that, and again, I've given my contact information, so thank you.